Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Tony. You can see I'm in Cleveland for Game 7 tonight, right? I am incredibly nervous, so say something right now to calm me.
Corey Kluber.
That didn't work.
Wait, let me try again.
No.
Andrew Miller.
That didn't work either.
How about Cody Allen?
Why don't you get to a guy named Clevenger? Why don't you get to
Not getting
him?
to Clevenger.
Oh, okay.
I'd get to Bob Feller and Al Rosen before I got to them. And I know they're not playing. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Hendricks faces Kluber, Norv Turner is out, and Kevin Durant talks about Russell Westbrook again. We will get to Game 7 in a second, but we begin today with last night's game, which forced tonight's. The Cubs scored 9 runs against the Indians, including a stunning gift, too, in the first inning, thanks to a childish misplay of a routine fly ball. But as the game wore on, Joe Maddon opened himself to second-guessing as he brought in Aroldis Chapman in the 7th inning with a score 7-2. Chapman continued to pitch into the 9th when the score was 9-2. Wilbon, was this the right move?
Tony, as you know, I love Joe Maddon. I hated the move. I said that at the time, and I'm not – I'm only one of millions. What was amazing in the post-game shows, all of which I stayed up to watch until about 4 this morning, was that all the ex-players, analysts, Hall of Famers, I mean, whether you're talking about A-Rod and Pete Rose and Frank Thomas, or whether you're talking about, we're going to hear from Aaron Boone later, every single person, it seemed, said, no, this is the wrong move. Now, I understand one thing here that Joe Maddon can never admit, never cop to, but this is what I believe, my interpretation. He doesn't trust anybody in his bullpen except Montgomery and Chapman. That's the list. He doesn't trust anybody else, and he has no reason.
Right.
I mean, there are guys who I know were good all season, but they forfeited that, Tony, because they've been terrible in the playoffs, and Maddon was forced to say, I got to win this game.
He has to. He has to.
And so
has to win.
I didn't like the move in real time. I hated it because now Chapman, I don't know how much he can throw tonight, having thrown 60 pitches in his last 2 appearances. But on the other hand, I understand others did not.
Yeah, no, and I get that because you have to win. There is no Game 7. Why don't you ask Buck Showalter, who's sitting somewhere with his thumb in the air because he did not get his reliever in when he should have gotten his reliever in. So I understand wanting to use Chapman. I don't understand keeping him in for as long as he did. The score is 7-2. I don't put Chapman in unless it's 3 runs or less.
Right, get to 7-4. They got to score 2 runs.
I don't put him in at 5, and I certainly don't keep him in the top of the 9th at that point.
Well, now, Tony, that was only because he hadn't gotten somebody up quick enough after the Rizzo home run to be warm. So that was just he pitched. He was going to go to one batter. He walked.
He planned to get him out anyway. And I think what you're going to see tonight as a result of this, I think you would see John Lester. I think you're going to see John Lester in relief because you don't know what Aroldis Chapman. And he's a guy, you've said this many times, he doesn't like coming in unless it's the 9th. But those days are gone in baseball. Those days are gone.
They are gone. They're gone for this series, too, what's left of it.
By the way, can I just stay on this for a second? That play in the first inning changes everything.
It changes the game,
It goes from 1-0 to 3-0.
Comfort
and the
level.
ball, because the ball falls, and I call you immediately, and I go, how did that happen?
Well, Arrieta said that too, Tony. He was on the mound, so he ought to know. Yeah. Okay, enough review. Let's move this conversation to Game 7. Everything, and I mean every single indicator, seems to line up for the Indians. Of the last 10 Game 7s, 9 have been won by the home team. Specific to tonight, Terry Francona has his most important pitchers farm fresh and ready to go. The untouchable trio of Andrew Miller, who you mentioned already, Brian Shaw, and Cody Allen. Don't forget them. And Cleveland starts with Corey Kluber, who's already beaten the Cubs twice in this series. Tony, I know what your season-long campaign has been, that the Cubs have the best team. They are the best team.
They are, and they do.
You sticking with that or the preponderance of pregame evidence to the contrary?
Just so that America understands that I'm not falling for this rope-a-dope nonsense, I will explain that you say this because you're terrified. You're out on a ledge, and you're a tub of goo that you're going to lose this particular game tonight. Everything doesn't line up for the Indians.
Everything lines up for him.
Kyle Hendricks is not bad. He's got a 1.38 ERA in this postseason. So everything does it. Now, I think the Cubs will win. But I'm going to concede your points that
points, plural.
Yeah, I'm going to concede that Francona did not chase good money with bad money. He did not use Miller. He did not use Allen. I mean, he kept his bullpen ready, and you're right about that. And in terms of Kluber, who's trying to become the first pitcher since Mickey Lolich.
Oh, yeah,
since Mickey Lolich in 1968 to start 3 and win 3.
And Gibson before that.
In terms of that, while Tomlin was ineffective on short rest, Kluber pitched only 81 pitches and only 88 pitches the last two times out.
He's ready to go.
So here's what we know to be true in the World Series so far, Mike. If you get the lead by the 6th, you win. You win. So if Kluber gets you to the 6th and Cleveland has the lead, they win. But again, what am I saying to you? I think the Cubs are going to win the game.
Well, Tony, what worries me is this notion that the Cubs' bats are alive, as if they can't go silent. As if they can't go silent. They were alive in the Dodgers series, and they got quiet for back-to-back shutouts against Cleveland.
That can happen.
Tony, the thing here is the bats need to stay hot. And here's the other thing. When the last time the Cubs were faced with a pitcher who was supposed to be just overwhelming and a guy you couldn't beat, it was Clayton Kershaw, and they got to him on short rest.
Okay.
So I feel pretty good about that. But you're right. Whoever has a lead, especially if that leads 2 runs by the 6th, that team's probably going to win.
And the craziness of baseball, determining the home field by who wins the All-Star game, you'd think would work against them. But they get Schwarber. They get Schwarber on the road.
Yeah, but Tony, the Cubs had to win 2. They had to win 2 at home.
When they go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's Schwarber, and it's Bryant, and it's Rizzo, and it's Zobrist, and it's Russell, that's tough to get through. That's tough.
It is.
All right, Wilbon, our old friend Norv Turner resigned today as offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings after a 2-game stretch in which the Vikings scored just 20 points. Turner told NFL.com, quote, "I don't want anyone to think I am bailing. It just wasn't working," unquote. Tight ends coach and former head coach in Cleveland, Pat Shurmur, will take over. So where does this leave the Vikings?
It leaves them probably sinking like a rock. Look, Norv Turner can't be the fall guy for all of this. I mean, we know the injuries that team started the season with, Tony. And Norv Turner, if you list 3 people who are the best offensive coaches who've had a variety of stops of their generation, so meaning of the last 20 years, Norv Turner is going to be in that 3.
Yes.
I mean, Norv Turner, it did not work spectacularly as a head coach, but if you wouldn't want Norv Turner to be your offensive coordinator, you're lying or a fool. And so the Vikings, to me, I don't know if they get better. I understand that Shurmur had as a pupil this particular quarterback. I get that. But, man, losing Norv Turner, I don't know how that helps you, Tony, in the short run.
Yeah, I'm going to just give a small history lesson here about Norv Turner. Go ask Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin how good a coordinator Norv Turner was when he worked with Dallas. I mean, they were a great offense. They were great players, but he knew how to maximize them. The thing about Norv Turner is, though, as an offensive coordinator, where he's had his best success, it's with a very good running back. Adrian Peterson's out. He's not there. You design an offense, you design plays for Adrian Peterson, and you get Matt Asiata, and it's not the same thing. What I wondered about originally was he fired? In other words, was Norv Turner called in and said, "We don't really want to fire you. We will if we have to. We're going to give you the way out of saying that you resign." And I assumed that if that were the case, that Zimmer would have something to do with it. Zimmer says no. Zimmer says, loves Norv Turner, great pals, would never do something like that. But I think you and I would probably agree that there are 20 teams in the NFL that would boot their offensive coordinator.
They should get rid of their guy now, whoever it is, and go get Norv.
But Minnesota, we agreed on this yesterday. Minnesota's going down. They're going down.
People were too high. People were, buying the stock.
Well, if you get to Bradford, it's shown the last 2 games. If you get to Bradford, they don't score.
That offensive line has got problems.
They don't score.
Tony, I know you'll agree that we are 30 hours away from a huge event in the NBA, Durant versus Westbrook, OKC at Golden State. And that apparently has prompted Durant to open up a little bit about his relationship with Westbrook. In those chats, Durant said he and Westbrook are at a tough time in their relationship, but they're brothers and will always be. Durant also said that his choice to go to Golden State was part of him trying to find out who he is as a person. Tony, you read these. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I've told you before, I am about super saturated with Kevin Durant, and I'm going to stay by that statement. I read these quotes, and I saw what he said. He left Oklahoma City and has since then taken shot after shot at Westbrook. And he didn't even call him. They haven't even spoken.
People don't call anymore. They text.
If you're leaving, if you've been a teammate for that length of time, you call somebody. You call and you say, "I'm leaving." People
don't even text their spouses anymore. These millennials. What are you talking about?
You call, and in this particular case, I discount all the stuff about how they're pals and how their relationship will be repaired. I don't count that. But when he says, I'm searching for myself, I pay attention to that.
Yeah.
When he says, I don't really know who I am, it sounded like he envied Russell Westbrook. That Russell Westbrook had a girlfriend in college and got married early and seemed to know who he is and know what he wants. And so maybe some of the movement towards Oklahoma City is a search for this. But you know what? I'm not Sigmund Freud. I don't know that.
Well, you certainly play Sigmund Freud usually about 4 times a week on 5:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go judgmental on Durant. I'm going to take him at his word when he says, I'm searching. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's envious of anybody. He also talked about Russell Westbrook growing up with 2 parents in the household, meaning a father, which Kevin Durant did not. It doesn't mean you're envious. It means you acknowledge what you didn't have and how you need to find it. LeBron James went through this, Tony. He said the 4 years in Miami was like going to college for him, which he didn't get a chance to do because he needed the money because he grew up in an impoverished situation. So I'm not going to get judgmental. I'm going to listen to these guys. If somebody is open enough to say, I need to find this out, I'm not going to throw stones at him or be judgmental about him. I'm going to take Durant at his word and believe he needs that. Good for him to admit
I'm
that.
I'm going to be judgmental in this regard, and I am sure of this. I am sure that Russell Westbrook is going to spend this entire year proving how great a basketball player he is.
Oh, sure, we agree
and
on
I
that.
am sure that Kevin Durant is going to spend this entire year defensively. I am sure that it will be like LeBron in his first year in Miami, and he will be the object of things that he does not feel comfortable with.
Well, that's already the case.
Sure
we see that. I'm sure he didn't want to have these conversations either.
The first college football playoff poll was announced last night, and there was one stunner. After Alabama, Clemson, and Michigan were predictably the first 3 teams, 7-1 Texas A&M was 4th, ahead of 8-0 Washington. The committee said they put A&M ahead of Washington because of strength of schedule. Wilbon, did the committee get this right?
Tony, I guess. I think one of the overblown conversations in the sports calendar now is the one that ensues on Wednesday after the committee comes out with its first poll on Tuesday. It's a first poll. It doesn't mean jack. It means this is what some people in a room sit around talking about, but games have to be played, all right? We're beyond the halfway point, sure. We only got about, 4 weeks left, but that's fine. You have chance to play your way into something. Washington has a chance to have impressive victories and play their way up a couple of spots because I presume there'll be losses elsewhere. So whatever the committee did, it's nice. It's a nice exercise, gives us some fodder, moves us away from Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and the World Series for a minute. It doesn't mean anything.
I know that there are other polls, and I know that this is just the first poll. I don't think they got it right. I mean, Texas A&M was soundly beaten by Alabama, if I remember correctly. Washington had a very tough game at Utah, a ranked team. They needed a punt return to win it late. But they'd been killing people before that by an average of something like 48-14. They beat Stanford 44-6, right? Stanford's a pretty good team. They beat Oregon 70-21.
Well, Oregon's not any good
They're
anymore.
a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team. Now, I think what's going to happen is there'll be at least one SEC team. I think the winner of Michigan-Ohio State is going to go. I think if Clemson wins out, they're going to go. And I do think if Washington wins out, especially if they beat Washington State or Washington State, they go.
The Big 12 is the team, the odd team
they're
out,
out.
conference
See you
out.
around.
That's right.
Let's take a break. Coming up, will short rest do anything to Corey Kluber tonight that it didn't do the first time? We're going to ask Aaron Boone.
And was last night really a breakout at the plate for the Cubbies? Or were they just beating up on some back-end guys in that bullpen?
You know, I hope you win, but the newspaper story that's better is Cubs lose, and I know you know that. Agony continues.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by the Brewers of Guinness. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Maybe it's the 2.5 centuries of friendships that have begun over a Guinness. Maybe it's our welcoming balance of roasted, bittersweet flavor, or how the long-lasting head keeps every sip fresh over the course of a long conversation. But there is something about a Guinness that reminds you there's less that separates us than brings us together. Here's to us all.
We're introducing a paint for the ages, like age 5, 8, 14, even 39 and counting. New Glidden Diamond Paint and Primer, exclusively at the Home Depot. Washable, try scrubbable. Lab and life tested to handle up to 2,500 scrubs. We know, we count it. And it's up to $40 less than some paints claiming to do the same thing. We're pouring more into paint. New Glidden Diamond, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Oh, this is awful. Try it.
Oh, no, that looks gross. What is that?
You gotta try it. It's terrible.
I don't want to try it if it's terrible.
It's like mango chutney and burnt hair.
No, thank you. I have a very sensitive palate.
Just try it.
Guys, I think we should hurry up.
If you taste something bad, you want someone else to try it. It's what you do.
I can't get the taste out of my mouth.
If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
Shh, dog.
Dog, 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 dog.
Polaris makes the off-roads best, and now is the time to buy. Take your pick of legendary Sportsman, the best-selling automatic ATVs, and get rebates up to $800. Grab a Razor XP1000, the best-selling sports side-by-side, and get a $3,000 rebate. Or take the wheel of the world's most powerful utility side-by-side, the all-new 80-horsepower Ranger XP1000. Hurry in for huge deals during the Polaris Full Throttle Sales Event.
Bills, Seahawks, Monday at 8:15 on ESPN.
These pizzas are the same, but depending on the day of the week, they aren't the same price. That's not right, so we're fixing it. Now you can carry out large 3-topping Domino's pizzas for $7.99 every day of the week.
12 unidentified objects have landed around the world.
Colonel?
Pack your bags. You're the best translator in the world.
They need to see me.
Dr. Banks?
It's their language.
They're not our enemy.
Russia declared war against the aliens.
The aliens will retaliate.
Wait, these are our allies.
You want to stop them? Find out what this means.
I am human.
Korea and Russia are off the grid.
We have 15 hours before this all goes to hell.
Arrival, rated PG-13.
Introducing the new Xbox One S. The only console with high dynamic range, over 100 exclusives, and 4K Ultra HD video and Blu-ray. This is the new Xbox One S.
Xbox One S, starting at $299.
People say I'm evil. I say evil is how cable companies trick you with a low rate and then BAM! Your bill is over $100 a month.
Take back TV with Sling and Save.
They've done everything that's been asked of them. They have been one of the most dominant teams in the country.
Browning, touchdown!
Washington, Cal, Saturday at 10:30 on ESPN.
Welcome back to Pardon the Interruption, presented by Guinness, part of Happy Hour.
In a story we broke in our first segment, the Cubs and Indians will play Game 7 of the World Series tonight. And to help us break it down is a man who will be calling the game for ESPN Radio, Aaron Boone. Let's start with this. Corey Kluber is back out there. Does short rest for a second time have an impact that it wouldn't have had short rest on the first time?
Yeah, I think it potentially could, because this is somewhere that he's never gone before. Now, that being said, he's one of the game's great pitchers. He's a horse. He's strong as an ox, so I think he's well equipped to do this. And in those last two starts, he hasn't even gotten to 100 pitches. So I think that factors in. And if you're the Cleveland Indians, the one great weapon that they have, or the advantage they have really over every team in Major League Baseball right now, and I think even the Cubs, is the depth of their bullpen. So if Corey Kluber can go out and give them 5 strong innings, they feel like they're really set up to go out and win the second half of this game.
Well, the Cubs are going to have to do something about that at the plate, Aaron. And, of course, last night, those guys broke out. Or wait, did they break out, or did they take advantage of some guys at sort of the back end of that bullpen who aren't going to matter tonight?
Yeah, I think it was more that they broke out on the secondary pieces of the Cleveland Indians rotation. So this is a different animal altogether tonight. When you got Corey Kluber, and then you've got the big three essentially waiting, in Shaw and Miller and Cody Allen, it's going to be a different task for that offense. That being said, I think you're seeing some signs that the Cub offense, which has been up and down throughout this postseason, Bryant's starting to have much more quality at bat, swinging the bat, having big impact homers the last 2 games. Anthony Rizzo has had really good at bats, I think, the whole World Series. Zobrist has been better. Addison Russell has gotten some big hits. So I think from a confidence standpoint and from quality at bat standpoint, the Cubs are definitely in a better place than they were 4 or 5 days ago.
Wilbon and I spent the first segment here second-guessing what Joe Madden did last night with Aroldis Chapman. I'd like to get your comments on that, but also the notion that having John Lester ready to come out of the bullpen tonight might offset any problems that Chapman has throwing pitches.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a problem for the Cubs team, and I think it's clear that Joe Madden does not have a lot of confidence in the bullpen outside of Aroldis Chapman. And does that show up tonight at some point when you go to Chapman, say in the 7th or 8th inning, if it's a close game or the Cubs have the lead, you know, does 42 pitches in Game 5, then the day off, then 20 more pitches where he's up and down 3 different times? I think that potentially has an impact. And I think part of that is Joe doesn't really trust some guys that have been really good relievers for him. And I think there's a confidence issue, not only with him, with them, but also any guy he brings into a high leverage spot, I think is a bit of a problem for him right now.
Well, what about John Lester? Do you anticipate seeing John Lester tonight?
I do, but I more see him, certainly if it's an extra inning situation, and if it's to start an inning, and if it's maybe a 1 inning to bridge that gap to where they're winning a ball game, I think he has to start an inning. I don't think with his issues with the running games and holding runners, I don't think you'll see John Lester, say, come in to put out a fire at any point. If it gets to the 7th inning and it's Hendricks handing it off to him, I could see him out there for an inning, but it would have to be a clean inning that he's starting.
Aaron, people on the outside looking in at the spectacle of a Game 7 are assigning, you know, the notions of pressure and who has it. You've actually played in a Game 7. Do you think there was extra pressure looking back on it? And as we apply it to tonight, if pressure exists, more so in a Game 7, who's it on?
It's on all of them, man. I mean, this is a long day leading up to the 8 o'clock first pitch. And I found that part, the most difficult part, is the waiting around, the trying to keep your mind somewhat on the game, but also trying to have some distractions throughout the course of the day so you're not just beating yourself up and having these anxious moments. I think once you get into the game, because you've been playing now for a month of really high-pressured, intense, you know, situations, I think these guys are equipped for it, and once the game starts, it becomes a bit of a sanctuary. But there's no denying that everyone realizes what's at stake, and there's pressure that comes with that. But these are the greatest players in the world, and when you're that good, usually you're equipped to handle these situations.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, Tom Brady says the Patriots could absolutely deal him one day. Really? Is he right?
Yeah, if Jerry Jones is lurking, watch out. Big Ben is back in practice, Tony. Should the Steelers play him or protect him?
Well, Dak Prescott's not playing on his team, right?
No. Well, hey.
So I think I'd play him. How about you?
Oh, the fishes will laugh as they swim out of the back, and the seagulls, they'll be smiling, and the rocks on the sand.
So peaceful up here.
Yeah.
Introducing the new turbocharged Golf All-Track with 4Motion all-wheel drive. Soon to be everywhere.
How about Domino's tonight?
Don't bother. Mom's on an all-salad cleanse.
Luckily, we love pizza so much we've added delicious salads, so no one can veto pizza night. Try one with a medium 2-topping pizza for $5.99 each.
I use what's already inside me to reach my goals. So I liked when my doctor told me that I may reach my blood sugar and A1C goals by activating what's within me. With once-weekly Trulicity. Trulicity is not insulin. It helps activate my body to do what it's supposed to do, release its own insulin. Trulicity responds when my blood sugar rises. I take it once a week, and it works 24/7. It comes in an easy-to-use pen, and I may even lose a little weight.
Trulicity is a once-weekly injectable prescription medicine to improve blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes. It should be used along with diet and exercise. Trulicity is not recommended as the first medicine to treat diabetes and should not be used by people with severe stomach or intestinal problems or people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Trulicity is not insulin and has not been studied with long-acting insulin. Do not take Trulicity if you or anyone in your family has had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Trulicity or its ingredients. Stop using Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of an allergic reaction, such as itching, rash, or difficulty breathing. If you have signs of pancreatitis, such as severe stomach pain that will not go away and may move to your back, with or without vomiting. Or if you have symptoms of thyroid cancer, which may include a lump or swelling in your neck, hoarseness, trouble swallowing, or shortness of breath. Medicines like Trulicity may cause stomach problems, which could be severe. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and any medicines you take. Taking Trulicity with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase your risk for low blood sugar. Common side effects include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, decreased appetite, and indigestion. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney failure.
With Trulicity, I click to activate what's within me.
If you want help improving your A1C and blood sugar numbers with a non-insulin option, click to activate your within. Ask your doctor about once weekly Trulicity.
Rated M for mature.
College basketball is back. At 7, Arizona takes on Michigan State. Then Indiana faces Kansas.
Showtime!
The State Farm Armed Forces Classic tips Friday, November 11th at 7 on ESPN.
Find the friendly flags of Baymont Inn & Suites, where our hometown hospitality means fresh baked cookies and a delicious free breakfast. For a fun family getaway or a business trip, free Wi-Fi keeps you connected, and our comfortable rooms are waiting for you. From the bay to the mountains, find the friendly flags of Baymont Inn & Suites. Upgrade yourself to a suite and save 20%. Book direct at BaymontInns.com.
How old I am means less to me than how well I'm aging. My age is just 29 in Telo years.
Telo years is a simple DNA test that reveals how well you're aging. Go to TeloYears.com to learn how you can get a test kit sent right to your doorstep. Send back a drop of blood, and we'll measure your telomeres, the caps on your DNA that tend to shorten and fray with age. Use your results to improve and track your lifestyle and discover what your DNA reveals about your age. Just $89 at TeloYears.com.
Know how well you're aging.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by the Brewers of Guinness. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 22nd birthday, Jordan Howard. The Bears' rookie running back was just named NFC Offensive Player of the Week for what he did against Minnesota on Monday night. Howard accounted for more than 200 yards from scrimmage, making him the first Bears rookie to do so since Gale Sayers. So in Chicago, a guy named Jordan is mentioned with Gale Sayers. That's pretty good.
Tony, one of the few really good personnel decisions they seem to have made here in Chicago. Jeremy Langford's injury, Matt Forte's departure, not so, hurtful right now with the way Mr. Jordan is playing.
Happy anniversary, John Wall. On this day 6 years ago, in your home debut, you performed a 31-second version of the Dougie during introductions. That's not the most memorable moment of his NBA career. That came a few weeks ago when Wall showed up at a Redskins-Cowboys game in Washington wearing an Emmitt Smith jersey, and that is called How Not to Endear Yourself to the Hometown Fans. By the way, the Wizards 0-2, Wall shooting 32% so far, early.
Look, if he wins, it won't matter. LeBron was wearing a New York Yankees cap around Greater Cleveland for about 10 years.
Yeah,
now he's at every Indians game cheering him on. People still love him.
Bad. Temporary happy trails to Ryan McDonough's sense of direction. Last night, the Rangers defenseman took a stick to the face. And as you can see, he was so stunned that he was not looking as he skated headfirst into the boards. Needless to say, he's a hockey player. He later returned to the game, which the Rangers won 5-0 over the Blues.
Couldn't somebody get out there and intercept him before? He was in slow motion as he was gliding to the... It wasn't like Gus Frerotte, who just all of a sudden went boom and you couldn't stop him. Yeah, you could have stopped him.
Yeah, Gus Frerotte was celebrating. I don't know why. We're running out of show. We go to the big finish.
Let's do it, Tom.
Nick Foles will start at quarterback for the Chiefs on Sunday. Is that the right call?
Yes, because Alex Smith might be doubled over or walking into a board right now, too. You don't want that. Let him rest. Tom Brady told the Boston Herald that Jamie Light Collins trade could absolutely happen to him someday. You agree with that, don't you?
No. Wait, let me think about it. No, it's Tom Brady. No. Ben Roethlisberger practiced today, hopes to play on Sunday at Baltimore. Would you play him?
I'd hold him out one more week, Tony. That division is stinky. The Steelers can get by. They really can. Boogie Cousins tied an NBA record by committing 6 fouls in the fourth quarter last night. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that he had an Uber waiting for him, and he had someplace to go, and he wanted to get out of the game a little bit early. He had no fouls for 3 quarters, 6 and 1, really?
Wow.
Last one, Bulls at Celtics tonight. Do you like the Bulls to go 4-0?
Tell them the Bulls beat the Celtics in Chicago to start the season. I think the Celtics want a little revenge. Nope, I don't see it.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Good luck, Wilbon.
Thank you, Tony.
Good luck
Go
with
Cubs.
your Cubs. Break the streak.